recording, and then I'm going to share my screen. And Bob's your uncle. Then I'm recording. Okay, so just to kind of take a step back and then step right into this. One of the elements of multipliers is something called the Leader Lab, and it's a place to experiment with our own thinking challenges, our own notions about multipliers and diminishers. And it's supposed to be a safe place to explore, just have conversations with people. So Leader Labs we can deliver sections and put people into activities like this. So the first Leader Lab that I wanted to take us through is really exploring your own experience with multipliers and diminishers. I guess I should be sharing my screen with the production on, like the slideshow on, but I'm not going to right now.
That's okay.
Because it's you.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like you to do is take just a minute, and I want you to think about multipliers and diminishers that you've worked for. People in your life who have been in those roles. So I am going to do this because I think it'll look better. It'll be more fun. Okay, can you see the actual production screen? You can, can't you?
Yeah, just a second. Yeah, I'm back there.
Okay.
That looks good.
Good, and let's do this. I will explain how it's supposed to go, and then let's us do it just as a conversation, just for the sake of this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have some people in mind.
Okay, good. So let's start with your diminisher. I don't need to know who, but if you would keep that in, keep that person pictured in your head. What kind of actions or behaviors? What did your diminisher do?
They were very intent on getting everything perfect, and they had a way that it should go. And so basically, if you didn't get it the way they thought it should go, you lost, and there were, repercussions.
Uh-huh.
The other thing is that the diminisher I have in mind also took a lot of focus, was very much on stage, was very, very smart, but also condescending. Right. And didn't partner it. I always felt like I was working for the person. Right. And they also had outbursts and just, really like emotional stuff. So anyway, that's what I felt worthless and inadequate and incompetent in things that I know I've been told I'm strong in before. So it was a really really debilitating experience.
Yeah, it sounds horrible. What when you think about your diminisher, what did they have to assume to be true?
They assumed that they were the one that was going to make this all work, that it couldn't happen without them.
Right.
That, yeah, and their way was the only way. Yeah.
Good. And so when you think about that experience, oops, wrong way. How much intelligence did that person get out of you on a 0 to 100 scale?
Although there were times when they probably got the best out of me, I felt like I felt like I went down to 50 or 30% at times.
Okay. Wow. So let's think about then the other person. You have your multiplier in your head?
Yes, yes, I do.
So what did that multiplier do? What did they do?
Um, they set up clear expectations for the outcome, but not a lot of guidance about how, but very demanding.
Uh-huh.
And they absolutely would not accept anything but the very best I could bring, and then some.
Good. And so in there, what did they have to assume?
Well, they assumed that I could do it and would do it, and had signed up to do it, was going to do it, and that unrelenting expectation of delivering a great result. But they also assumed that things could go wrong, and they were actually okay if things stuttered at times, as long as we really integrated the learning.
And when you think about how much intelligence did they get out of you, what did they get on a 0 to 100 scale?
It was 100% and then some. I mean, it still, I look back and it was some of my finest work.
Love it, love it. So, so this, just to tee this up in relationship to how this would go, is this would be a think on your own with sticky notes, have a conversation around this, this with the group, and it's funny because you really hit on the nature, exactly what the research showed that Liz Weissman did. Interestingly enough, the data showed over 100% intelligence gotten, and she had to go back and recalculate because she assumed her original research that you could only get 100%. And yet people, when she asked about how you would get more than that, oftentimes people mentioned that the multiplier brought out capabilities they didn't know they had. And that certainly has been my experience with the multipliers I've worked with. And also that there is a real, like you mentioned, there's a real weight and burden and a different level of energy between working for a diminisher and working for a multiplier. And yet the multiplier, you said the multiplier is like really exhilarating to work for because they're really calling the greatness out of you. But they're not easy people to work for either. They're not pushovers.
No, they're not.
They're not. So when we look at the difference between them, diminishers, they have to be in the picture. Like you said, that's, it's their way. People won't figure it out without them. Mm-hmm. And the kinds of things that we see people do are your empire builder. You talked about somebody yesterday who was an empire builder that hoards and underutilizes talent. Mm-hmm. I certainly have a client that I've worked with that's just exemplifies the tyrant. Mm-hmm. They create a lot of stress and people stop thinking. They just kind of don't really show up. Mm-hmm. Even the good people. And then the know-it-all who either has to, tell people what to do or have a lot of the bandwidth in the meeting so that people really know it's their way. And you mentioned that trait in your diminisher. Another one you didn't mention is the decision maker who makes decisions and then holds debates about decisions that are already made. And
I've seen that though. Yeah.
Yeah, and the micromanager who we all know. as contrasted to the multipliers who, like you said, you'll figure it out. Here's the end result. You'll figure out the how. That they are talent magnets. They absolutely optimize and bring out the greatness of the people. So it actually attracts additional people to them. They create space for people to think and do their best work. And that's a liberator. And then this is the stretch. You talked about this person being unrelenting in their expectations of you. That's a challenger. Like that trait really puts out a challenge that's maybe more than you think is possible, but you rise to the occasion. And the debate maker, they put an issue on the table when there's an important decision. They have a debate with their team to get the best thinking on the issue, and then make the decision. And then the investor, of course, instills the ownership and accountability in their people. But what's really cool, and this is exactly what you said, the amount of intelligence that the diminisher gets is less than 50%. You said 30 to 50%.
Yeah.
The amount
spot on. Wow.
The multipliers get is somewhere around 95%. And it's exhausting working for diminishers. And yet you're only taking 50% of your intellect into the job, where the multipliers, it's really exhilarating.
Yeah.
And you're giving so much more of yourself into the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the real contrast between them. You agree with me? What's insights? What was spot on? I mean, what did you realize?
I think the sense of one was I was really focused on the outcome and the work, and another was just kind of like fighting and bracing and spending a lot of time kind of avoiding the fallout of how they were behaving. It was like high maintenance, to work with the one person.
Yeah.
And I felt like I couldn't be straight with them. And so I just a lot of churn. So I think in terms of my seeing impact and seeing even how, I had the great opportunity to be working with this person and then switching to another colleague, and just an amazing night and day difference. I felt like a whole weight was lifted off me, and I could focus back on the outcome, the client. So I see this so loud and clear in my own experience, and of course with my evidence.
Yeah, good. I'm going to stop there. Thank you. We're going to, the next time we get together at the end of the week, we'll talk about what I want to do is go through the accidental diminisher. I don't know if Kim and Jana are a part of the conversation. If you want to go back through this, it's a very short piece, but it puts you in the place of kind of viscerally understanding multipliers and diminishers from your own experience, which I think builds a motivation to look a little deeper. So we may go back and do this again.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Well, thank you, Anne.
You're welcome. I need to stop my